Hello, my name is XONEVANT. Today is Friday, August the 8th, and this is your Daily Dose. Alright, so first things first, I wanted to give a special shout out to HMF 450R1 for sending me this particular article through YouTube. The article actually reads, Angry Gamer is suing Sony over Killzone Shadowfall graphics. Okay, so before I actually get into my opinions about how I feel about this particular story, let me just read you a couple of things right quick. This is actually from the article itself, and then that'll kind of give us the premise behind this whole thing. Now, of course, Killzone Shadowfall did indeed display in 1080p in both the single player and multiplayer, but the engine only actually rendered each individual frame in 1080p in the single player mode. In multiplayer mode, the developer used a few tricks to make sure the resolution stuck at, or at least appeared to stick at, the advertised level. Now, the article goes on to state that Guerrilla Games' Poria Torkin explains this interesting technique in a blog post, and this is what it says. When upscaling an image from one resolution to another, new pixels are added by stretching the image in XY dimension. The values of the new pixels are picked to lie in between the current values of the pixels. This gives a bigger but slightly blurred picture. Temporal projection is a technique that tracks the position of pixels over time and predicts where they will be in the future. These history pixels are combined with freshly rendered pixels to form a higher resolution new frame. And that seems to be at the heartbeat of this particular lawsuit. Now, I've read a ton of comments because I've read this article on the website that HMF sent me, and then I read this article on other websites too. And I've been in the comments, and it seems like most gamers are upset at this guy for suing them because the lawsuit is for $5 million. And there seems to be an issue with the lawsuit in general, and then there seems to be an issue with the amount. A lot of people are saying, well, you know, the game's only $60, so even if he wins the case, he shouldn't be entitled to get Sony for $5 million, right? I mean, the first thing we have to cover here is, does the gamer actually have a right to have a lawsuit against Sony in the first place? And the answer to that is yes. You can sue just about anybody for just about anything, the way that our legal system works. I mean, all you have to really do is find a lawyer who's ready to take your case. That's really all you have to get done. So does he have a right to actually have a lawsuit? Yes. Does it mean that he's gonna win? No. Alright, so the next thing we kind of have to talk about here is the $5 million price tag that's on this case right now. This is how much that the kid is suing for. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh man, that's way too much. You know, it's a $60 game. There's no way that this kid should be able to walk away with $5 million. I would argue that maybe $5 million is not necessarily a price tag that the gamer put on this case. I would think that would be more of what the lawyer has put on this case. I mean, not many lawyers are going to go to court with you against a major company for a $60 lawsuit or something like that. Like, they are wanting to get the big payday, and maybe that's wrong, but that's just the way that it works. The only other thing I can say about the $5 million price tag is, if this kid does win this lawsuit, let's just say that the judge says, yes, this is false advertisement, which is legitimate, by the way. You know, and that's with any product or service that you buy from anywhere. If you feel like somebody has, you know, advertised the product to you unfairly, you have a right to sue. And if you win, obviously that sets a precedence with that particular company. So let's just say that he was to win this case, walk away with $5 million. That does a couple of things. A, it hurts their bottom line, which, if they did falsely advertise to this gamer, then that means they're technically falsely advertising to all of us, right? And so that helps us as gamers and consumers going down the line. That means, hey, the next time, quote unquote, Sony, that you decide to, you know, falsely advertise to your consumer base, there may be another lawsuit that may happen that will take you for another financial hit on your bottom line. And when you're trying to sue a company and you hit them for that much money, it's not necessarily about taking it away from their bottom line either. I mean, yes, that's kind of what you're wanting to do, but at the same rate, you're affecting their stocks, you're affecting their shareholders, because a lot of people don't want to invest into a company where they have a history of lawsuits, because lawsuits tend to drop the bottom line, it drops the shares, it drops the stock, and nobody can make money off companies like that. So there's a ripple effect that'll happen with major companies that will only happen if you stick them for a large amount of money. If you just stick them for $60 and you win the case and they write you a check for $60, that's not going to affect the stock, that's not going to affect shareholders, nobody's going to care. And then that just gives them enough reason, 3 months down the line, to do the same thing over again. And this is not just video games, this is with any product or service. So if this gamer really feels like that he's been taken for a ride, so to speak, and that he's been lied to, then this is actually a good amount to set the precedence for the future, right? Because a lot of times the way that the court systems work is that once there's been a case and that case has went through and a judge has either sided with the defendant or sided with the plaintiff, it doesn't matter the outcome of that case, then future cases can be leveraged based on that case. So let's just say that he wins this for $5 million, and then 3 months from now, you, the person watching this video right now, you decide that you want to sue a gaming company because you feel like you have been advertised to wrongly. Then your lawyer can actually go back to this case that, let's just say hypothetically that he wins, and can say, hey, on this particular day, such and such versus Sony, this case went down like this, and the judge ruled in the gamer's favor. And this particular case, this new case, is virtually the exact same case, and that judge has to then rule based on some of the grounds in that previous case. And I know that may seem a bit complicated, but that's kind of how the court systems work. Now, the bigger thing here, and I think this is what a lot of people are not considering when they're going through and leaving their comments, is there's a lot of stuff that has to be proven here. The gamer and his lawyer are going to have to basically lay out the definition of what 1080p is. Sony / Killzone, they obviously have their idea of what 1080p is, and then this gamer has his idea of what 1080p is. So before anything can really happen, there has to be an establishment of the definition of what is 1080p. And once the judge acknowledges that, it's either going to side with Sony or not side with Sony. Now, if it doesn't side with Sony and the judge says, yes, this is 1080p, then the gamer then has to prove that their version of 1080p is not, it does not coincide with that definition. And then he's got a chance to win the case. But there's a lot of hurdles that have to be crossed here, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't know too many judges who are, kind of privy to the whole 1080p, 60 frames a second. They're used to, handling court cases with murder and stuff like that. So this is going to be a tough case for a lawyer to pick up and go forth and kind of drudge through all the definition of terms and all that kind of stuff to actually figure out exactly what 1080p is. Then you have to prove it. I think this is a long shot case, but if he can prove that he's been advertised to, falsely, then he has a case, and he's well within his legal rights to pursue that case. And whether you agree or disagree with his motives or his reasoning behind it, or whether you think he's just trying to take him for a ride or whatever, that's your opinion and you're entitled to it, but it doesn't overrule his rights as an individual to take legal action against somebody who he feels like has wronged him. And time will tell if it's proven right or wrong, and we're just gonna have to wait and see how this thing plays out. But I'm gonna personally follow this article and this story and see kind of how it goes down, because I'm sure that the major news outlets are going to be reporting on it quite a bit, and we'll see where it goes. I'd be interested to see it myself. We do know that these game companies do have, a little bit of white lies coming out every now and again. We all went through the Watch Dogs fiasco with their graphics and, that sort of thing. So, if we are being falsely advertised to, then somebody's going to eventually have to set the precedent so that these companies don't do it anymore. This particular case, I feel like, is a little bit tough to prove. It's not like that Sony came out and said the game's going to be 1080p and then it just came out at 720p. That would be an open and shut case. You see what I mean? But this is a little bit different because you have to define exactly what 1080p is, and everybody seems to have a different definition. So we'll see how it goes. You guys can let me know what you think about it in the comments below, and I'll talk to you there. You guys be good.